Muppets are a beloved group of characters for many. Disney has had control of them for the past 21 years at this point. Today we are going to track the unfair treatment of the Muppets in both film and the parks, and where the company should really be going from here with the Muppets. Let's begin. In 2004, the Walt Disney Company acquired the Muppets. However, in 1991, the Muppets held a presence in the Disney parks. At Walt Disney World, you could visit the Muppets at what was then called Disney's MGM Studios. The Muppets occupied the space of Muppet Vision 3D, which was one of the final works of Jim Henson. The Muppets are possibly the saddest brand that Disney has acquired. Star Wars, Marvel, and even Indiana Jones thrive despite their failures, while the Muppets have been almost completely abandoned by Disney. The Muppets seemingly are only wheeled out to be used as puppets for promotions or to tug at your heartstrings for nostalgia. Now sure, you could make the argument that all of these brands that Disney has acquired and the characters there are used for nostalgia bait, and you would be right. But nearly all of these brands have been treated with a little bit more respect than the Muppets have. You may not like everything that Disney has done with Star Wars or Marvel or Indiana Jones or anything else that they own, but at least Disney didn't go and throw Star Wars into a corner and just wheel out C-3PO and R2-D2 to sell merchandise to you, or give you this warm fuzzy feeling of how things used to be. At least they still continue to make content. Whether that content is good or not is up to you. But for the Muppets, I feel like they've kind of just been abandoned and discarded, thrown in a box. The Muppets have had a few new ventures since Disney acquired them. Most of these ventures are failures by all accounts. The Muppets since 2004 have had a few films and a horrendous sitcom. Before we get to all of that though, let's dive into the history of Muppet Vision 3D and really why it went away. The year is 1990. And Michael Eisner has decided to now collaborate with the largely successful and beloved Jim Henson to create a Muppet experience in the Disney parks. Eisner had already collaborated with giants in the entertainment industry to bring some more magic to these Disney parks. In 1986, Captain EO debuted, and in 1987, Star Tours was released. In 1989, it was announced that Henson and Disney would partner for a new experience. Now, as development of Muppet Vision 3D was going on, Disney was in talks to acquire Jim Henson's productions. Now, Disney was even trying to make a whole Muppet Land and, do more ambitious and audacious things with the Muppets in their parks. Now, as for Muppet Land, it would have been a Muppet-themed takeover of Disneyland in 1991. Imagine the Stitch takeover at Disney World, but you times that by 10 and you just make it more Muppet fun and not very disastrous like Stitch had. All of this fell through though because Jim had passed away on May 16th, 1990. His good buddy Frank Oz completed Muppet Vision 3D for Jim, and Disney could not obtain the Muppets until 2004. Muppet Vision 3D was a big hit with fans and improved upon the 4D that Disney was using in Captain EO. The smells, practical effects, special effects allowed fans to be immersed in this world with one final Jim Henson production of the Muppets. In 2001, Disneyland opened their second park, Disney's California Adventure, which opened with Muppet Vision 3D. Although the facade of the theater in Florida was vastly different than the one built for California, fans could still enjoy some Muppet magic. Now, after Jim died back in 1990, legal drama was put out in the public eye. The Henson family ended up suing Disney for exploiting the Muppets, as they put it. Disney would file a countersuit, and in April of 1991, Disney and the Hensons ended up settling the lawsuit out of court. After this settlement, the relationship between Disney and the Hensons seemed to be very, very good, and if you look back, it's kind of crazy what they did afterwards. Before Disney acquired Jim Henson's productions, they started to distribute Muppet films under Buena Vista Home Video. The Disney was allowed to distribute The Muppet Christmas Carol theatrically, but Jim's son Brian Henson helmed the creative process. A few other films were distributed by Disney, but it wouldn't be until 2005 when Disney had more creative control. Disney got Jim Henson's productions in 2004 and started to make some films right away. Disney started things off with 2005's The Muppets Wizard of Oz. Now, I have never seen this film, but it was made for TV, and it seems like people just enjoy it fine enough. In 2008, A Muppet's Christmas Letters to Santa was made. This was clearly Disney trying to rekindle the joy and the magic from the much beloved classic Muppets Christmas Carol. Now, I haven't seen this film, but it seems like it's generally enjoyed by fans. No masterpiece and doesn't hold a candle to the Christmas Carol, but it's fine enough for the fans. But then the big year, 2011, would come around. 2011 brought fans The Muppets, a brand new theatrical film starring all of our Muppet friends. This was a big deal for Disney since they were placing all bets on this to be the vehicle to revitalize the Muppets. The film cost $45 million and ended its box office run with a total $165 million. Now, the film was a success. Critics enjoyed it along with the audiences. And as for my own personal opinions, I enjoy the film. I think it's fun, but I do think a massive failure of the film is the fact that it focuses on a brand new Muppet who is a fan of the Muppets, much like you and I. The film gives us Walter, who is this Muppet fan, and although I don't particularly, mind him, I don't hate him, I don't absolutely love him, I do think he is an odd choice to have, front and center for this film and this plot. The film also fails for me due to one big thing, which watching it all these years later is really, really weird, which is all of these celebrity cameos who really aren't even just cameo roles. It's just like they play themselves in a Muppet movie and they kind of take the front stage instead of the Muppets themselves taking the front stage. Fast forward to 2014 and we get a sequel to this film with an evil Kermit. The Muppets Most Wanted had a $50 million budget and ended the box office with a total of $80 million. The film only made $51 million domestically, making it more of a quote-unquote moderate success. Now, critics enjoyed it and audiences were a bit harsher on the film. The film is fine at best for me, but it does have this problem of celebrities taking the center stage, and it is very much so worse this time around than in the prior film. I think in many ways, as I tracked this entire timeline of the Muppets under Disney, this film killed Disney's confidence in more Muppet movies and Muppet projects. They wanted to go a little bit smaller after this because, I don't know, I guess Disney just saw this as a big box office failure, even though it was technically a moderate success. But the next Muppet project would absolutely kill Disney's credibility in creating new Muppet content. Now, in between the next Muppet project and Muppets Most Wanted, there was a devastating loss. In the same year that the Muppets Most Wanted came out, Muppet Vision 3D would shut down after a very short 13 years at Disney's California Adventure. I don't know if this is related to the failure of the film, even though, it was a moderate success, but clearly Disney kind of viewed this thing as a failure. I'm not really sure why it shut down. I couldn't find a good reason of it. It kind of was shocking and surprising to me when it actually happened. I remember going to the parks and being like, wow, they just got rid of this out of nowhere. But this was no good indicator for the Muppet fans. Now, in 2015, Disney really did show the world that they do not know what to do with the Muppets and just killed all hope for the Muppets being anything special or important ever again. In 2015, we got the ABC show The Muppets. Now, this show, in my opinion, is a very depressing satire of sorts. It's like we had the Muppets in The Office. It's very much so like The Office, a sort of mockumentary. They are literally in an office. It's the Muppets if it was in The Office, okay? It's that's all it is, really. The show is really sad, weird. The humor is nothing like we would get with Jim Henson. It's very, very adult, and it doesn't land for me because it just doesn't feel good or believable when you have the Muppets making like weird sex jokes and everything. It just doesn't work for me. Critics were not overly impressed with the show, and audiences were extremely mixed on it. Some did appreciate this for a new and original take on the Muppets, which I guess they did that, but others were just angry and confused at this depressing satire tone that the show would take on. The show was canceled after one short season due to backlash from fans and declining ratings. The Muppet Project got so much media attention that everybody had their eyes on the show and its many controversies. I think the show did immense brand damage for the Muppets, which really did reduce Disney's faith in this brand. In 2018, Muppet Babies was the next move for Disney. Disney had reduced the Muppets to just doing Muppet Babies, so they could avoid controversy and utilize the Muppets in a very cheap but effective way. And Muppet Babies was, a big success. It was a Disney Junior show. Kids are going to watch it because they watch Disney Junior content and content like Disney Junior all day. So it was a big hit. It was a very successful thing. It ran for a good amount of time, and it might have been it's one of the more successful things I think Disney has done with the Muppets, which is honestly kind of a sad and low bar that it's just little kids productions. Now, when Disney Plus launched in 2019, there was no new Muppet content. In 2020, however, Muppets Now launched, and it was fine. 2021 gave us the Muppet Haunted Mansion, which is something that I've never seen. It's just a little small TV special for Disney Plus, which I guess is fine. I think it's like kind of a promotional for their Muppet, or not their Muppet, but their Haunted Mansion movie. I could be totally wrong though. And then in 2023, we got the final bit of Muppet media so far, Muppet Mayhem, which I have not seen and is only one very short-looking season of television. So yeah, that's what Disney's done with the Muppets on Disney Plus. Clearly, since Disney Plus has debuted, the Muppets have been utilized in small experimental ways that Disney knows won't anger fans, but they are experimental and they're very small. They're very small budgeted, very small scale, don't get a lot of eyes or attention. It's sort of just Disney playing it safe. I think it's sad to me that Disney seemingly has just disregarded our friends here. It seems like fans of the Muppets are split on how these shows are they good, are they not good? And at least the Muppets aren't reduced to a shallow comedy anymore like in 2015, where the gang itself is really lifeless. But having these very small scale, not very impactful or ambitious projects, and not, continuously putting out the Muppets in good faith ways and only reducing them to, minimally promoted Disney Plus shows is kind of sad. Nowadays, when I see the Muppets, I see Disney parading out Kermit the Frog on social media for short promotional materials or a little small gag to remind people that the Muppets do exist. But Disney seemingly doesn't know what to do with the Muppets and has almost given up on them as a whole. It's really frustrating considering the fact that behind the scenes, many have noted and said that Jim's relationship with Disney was extremely rocky, to the point where Disney didn't really respect Jim, and many even go as far to say that Jim was worked to death by Disney because of stress about mergers and how Disney controlled that production of Muppet Vision 3D, and it seems to be a small cause in Jim's health decline and his eventual death, which is just sad. It doesn't help that in 2024 at D23, this announcement was made and Muppet fans would have to face the greatest fear.
Well, that was pretty amazing. Now in this new land, humans have been invited to visit Monstropolis, and they need our laughter out of the city. As part of this new Monsters experience, you're going to get to tour the Laugh Factory. I don't know about all you guys, but the first time I saw Monsters Inc., all I wanted to do was zoom through the door vault like Mike and Sully, right? after and experience the first suspended coaster ever in a Disney park. We have those claws, they grab the doors, they hoist them up into the air, and they take them away. Yep, we're going to do that too. And here's the great thing, construction on the project starts next year, and I can tell you that there is so much excitement and Imagineering for the land.
Now, wisely, Disney did not explicitly state that Monstropolis would be the successor of the Muppets Courtyard when they made this announcement, but fans knew that their favorite place, the final work of Jim Henson, would be demolished and taken away forever. Disney then, in a very out-of-touch fashion, tried to heal the wound when they broke the news that the Muppets Courtyard would be demolished for Monstropolis by announcing that the Muppets would take over Rock and Roller Coaster. Now, Aerosmith, as of now, occupies this ride with their music, which I think is a better fit than the Muppets. But Disney thought that putting the Muppets here would compensate for the loss of Muppet Vision 3D. And although it's going to be a definitely interesting new addition, it didn't compensate for that loss. This is, in my opinion, the greatest demonstration of the biggest problem with how Disney utilizes the Muppets. They don't understand how to actually use them. There are a very small handful of successful attempts post-2004 of Disney utilizing the Muppets. Most of these attempts, to me and the fans, seem fine at best. They're not very ambitious, they definitely aren't that classic spirit of the Muppets, but they're not insulting. And then there's the few that are very insulting. From new voice actors who don't actually sound like the Muppets themselves, to the comedy being very, very different but not in a good way, the Muppets have been mishandled. When Muppet Vision 3D was announced as going away, it felt like the final nail in the coffin, and in many ways, it is the final nail. Because for now, Disney has destroyed the final Jim Henson work and has minimal plans of utilizing the Muppets going forward. Now, Disney, I think, needs to prove to us fans through either a new brand attempt at getting the Muppet Show or maybe new films that they actually care about the Muppets. I think that Disney just should get a new voice cast that actually does sound like the characters and give us original content that is genuine and made in good spirits. Instead of hiring people that just want to make a massive profit off of the Muppets, I think that they need to hire people who will actually have fun with these characters and will make it all work out and be a good fun time. Now, I do want to offer a small bit of positive and hopeful speculation. I really do think that if the theater that houses Mickey's PhilharMagic and Disney's California Adventure stays around when Pandora is being built, I think that we could actually see Muppet Vision 3D returning to its old place. I am also confident that Disney will put Muppet Vision 3D on Disney Plus, and although it's not nearly as amazing as having the experience of, the preserved show in real life at a new venue, I think it would be nice at least to put the film there on Disney Plus. That is all I have to say about the Muppets, but let me know your thoughts on how Disney has treated the Muppets. Has it been good? Has it been bad? Are my takes way out of whack? Do they not make any sense? Let me know down in the comments. And until next week, friends, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.